No? Got that one.
Good morning and welcome to the November 14th, 2023 regular meeting of the Town of Bethlehem Industrial Development Agency. My name is Victoria Storrs. I'm the chair. I'm going to ask all members present to acknowledge so we can determine a quorum, and then I'll introduce our guests.
Welch. Victor Franco, board member.
Al Michaels, CFO.
David Cadera, board member.
Georgette Stephens, Ultimately board member.
Ted DeBarbieri, board member, secretary.
John Taylor, senior economic developer.
Kate Hedgeman, agency counsel and executive director.
Richard Cotlow, treasurer.
Thank you all. We have a quorum this morning of all members, so welcome. We also, because of our items of business, have guests from Hodgson Russ, Hiscock and Barkley, and representatives of, everyone in the region knows you as PSEG. You have a corporate name that you can introduce, but if you would briefly go around and give your names and affiliations so we know who's here this morning. Start with Joe.
Sure, Joe Scott, partner at Hodgson Russ, Albany office.
Chris Canada, licensed partner at Albany office.
Matt Moses, partner in Barkley Heyman, Syracuse office.
Rich Brunson, Senior Vice President and Controller of Eastern Generation, which operates the Bethlehem plant.
Lee Baker, Eastern Generation as well.
All right, thank you and welcome to our meeting. We have ordinary business to get through, and then we will be talking about the application that the generation plant has submitted, and after that, we will have a presentation about insurance that the IDA is seeking to acquire. So the first order of regular business is approval of the minutes from the October 25th board meeting. Are there any questions or comments? I would entertain a motion to approve the October 25th minutes. Thank you, Chris.
Second.
Thank you, Dick. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstaining or opposed? Okay. Thank you. The minutes are approved. Our next item of business is the financial report, which is the approval of the October 23 financials, and we do look to Al for that, and then we'll entertain any questions.
Okay, we have the financials for the October 31st, 2023 period. Statement of net assets, checking and savings. We've got $459,172.31 in M&T at our bank account. $769,184.40 at M&T and a CD. We also have CDs of $200,000 each in Citizens and Trustco. Our total checking and savings is $1,628,356.71. Other current assets includes a fee receivable of $27,021.97 and prepaid expenses of $558.70, giving us total other current assets of $27,580.67. Total current assets and total assets of $1,655,937.38. Liabilities, we have accrued expenses of $19,250.82, and that gives us net assets of $1,636,686.56. We go to our statement of revenue expenses. Our fee income year to date is $350,208.35. PSEG energy reimbursements of $121,879.75, giving us total income of $472,088.10. On the expense side, our contractual expenses are $107,719.63, giving us ordinary income of $364,368.47. We add in our interest income of $21,949.82. We have net income year to date of $386,318.29. Comparing our actual to budget, you can see our fee income, we're $194,190.70 over what we budgeted. That's mostly, or all of it really relates to the plug power project sharing with Albany County. PSEG energy reimbursement is also running $55,213.07 above what we budgeted. On the expense side, contractual expenses were still 25,697.04 under budget. And of course, we haven't spent any of the money yet on the business and economic development study line, so we're at 83,000 to the good there. Interest income, due to the rather conservative estimate, what we would collect compared to what we're actually getting, we're 20,949.82 above what we budgeted. So you can see year to date, we're 379,383.96 to the good compared to what we budgeted. Are there any questions I could entertain on the financials?
No, I just want to thank Al for getting the press report filed on time. Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah, I second that unofficial motion.
I've already started work on the 2023 Paris report, doing the tax allocations, because that's something you can do ahead of time.
Good. Okay, moving on, our next item of business are updates from John Taylor, our senior economic developer.
Sure. So I'll keep it short and sweet today. I feel like we just saw each other it's like yesterday. So I think the main thing right now for this month is the industrial site inventory RFP that's out, posted as of last day of October. So it's been out for about 2 weeks now. If you haven't seen it, it's very prominent on our website, on the top of the IDA website, and it's also we've shared it with a range of organizations, including New York State Economic Development Council. So it's getting out there to the wider community. I've heard through the grapevine of at least firms being aware that it's out there, and whether we'll see what kind of application pool we get. But that the deadline for that is December 8th, so it's still out for another couple weeks, and hopefully we will get some good responses. So that's really kind of my main update for today.
All right, thank you, John. Are there any questions for him about the site inventory or the process?
I have one question. I was reading the RFP and I saw that there was a public engagement component. And what do you envision, like general public, like not the property owners or what do you envision that input or engagement or what you're trying to garner from them as part of the inventory?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so there's like kind of for all the different planning studies we do have kind of different types. We have kind of workshops where it's really to kind of gather input. Then there's other types of meetings where it's more kind of public information, right? Here's what we're working on. Here's kind of an overview of the project. So I think for this it's more in the latter, right? Because a lot of the work in terms of public engagement will be with individual property owners, right? So it's not going to be so that's kind of really how we see it. We'll have to figure out kind of when that is in the process of the project. But I think it's more on the kind of the public information side. But we do want the community to be aware of what we're.
Let's move along to new business items for action. We have two. The first is a resolution authorizing our CFO, Dick, to open up bank accounts at Key Bank. So Dick, why don't you give a brief explanation of why you've asked for this?
Sure, thank you. Well, first of all, we have a list of approved banks, and Key Bank is approved by the board as an eligible depository. And we've been, over the past year or so, we've been fortunate to be able to invest, and we've been trying to keep our investment in banks under the 250 FDIC insurance, so there's no collateral requirement. So that's why, if you noticed on the financial statement, we have some money in Trustco, and we have collateralized deposits in M&T, and we have money in Citizens. So Al went to Key Bank, and Key Bank gave us a very good rate to deposit. So as a formality, we just need a corporate resolution to approve putting $200,000 in a CD in Key Bank. And we've done analysis, and we have sufficient cash and laddered cash to be able to put it away for as long as 12 months?
a year.
Oh, yeah, 12 months.
But this one is for actually opening the account, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bank account as well as doing the CD. Because last meeting, they approved you to invest in the CD.
Right, I mean, I think this is just formalizing the fact.
But the way the banks are doing it, and the same thing with Citizens, is that when you buy a CD, they want you to get a demand deposit account also.
Sure.
And it's just, there'll be no activity in it, but we have to do that for the, that's how come we get the rate.
And they need a corporate resolution in order to go and open it. So.
You need a minimum balance in that?
No,
No.
no, we'll have 200,000 in the CD. No, it's not, it'd be $1. And I think they put the dollar in.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of giving the authority to the CFO to open the bank accounts at Key? Aye. Any abstaining or opposed? Okay, thank you. We have adopted a resolution giving that authority as described. Do you need something in writing or is this sufficient to you?
I have a draft resolution that we can sign and we'll give it to Al.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, moving next, and Kate, I'm going to turn this over to you. We have a letter application from our guests about the pilot associated with the Bethlehem Power Generation.
Okay. So as you know, at our last meeting, we discussed very briefly the letter application that was going to come in from to extend a deal that we already have that's expiring next year, I believe, right? 24 or this year, I'm sorry, 23, to extend it. And I had sent the underlying documents to all of you. I know it was a lot, but I know, it's your first look at what this project even is before you went and extended it. The pilot schedule happens to be on page 12 of the pilot agreement. That's really the most important part. And we talked about how the deal was negotiated and that in this case, the payments are actually higher than we would normally get in tax payments if it was assessed at the current value. So I asked, per your request, the applicants to come today and discuss, what they'd like to do and why they want to have the extender in place and what their new application might look like, and the copy of their current letter application. And the reason we did it by letter, by the way, is our current application for pilots really doesn't address an extension. It's really for a new project. So we had them put in a letter instead, and that's why that's in here. Joe Scott and his office also informed the taxing jurisdictions that we're looking at doing this, just so they would have a heads up as well. That is the other letter that was in the packet for you. So at this time, I think I'll turn it over, Matt, to you and the applicant to tell us a little bit about why you're applying for this and then what your plans are for the future.
You want to take it?
I mean, just real quick, so thank you very much for extending us for it. I'll still say I'm PSEG if I'm in trouble, so.
Okay.
For purposes of the record. No, but thank you for the invitation to come here today. We recognize that time is maybe not on our side with the expiration of the pilot, and that's why we have come here looking for an extension under the same terms and conditions to provide revenue certainty to the taxing jurisdictions as well as to our company. So we understand what we're paying for the next 18 months, I believe. And that's really it. And then that extension will give us time to negotiate an extension or a new agreement, so.
William, you want to explain what Eastern Generation is and what you folks do?
If I knew. So, real quick, so Eastern Generation Bridge, they're two portfolio companies. We're owned by ArcLight Capital Partners, which is a private equity firm based in Boston. We are currently the largest owner-operator of fossil-fired power plants in New York State and Connecticut, and number 2 in Jersey. Even though you never heard of us, so that's why piece of joke. And that's it. We're based in Stamford, Connecticut. Company's about 45 employees. Pretty small for a big fleet. And,
Bethlehem plant was acquired from PSEG under the Generation Bridge portfolio in February of last year.
we bought all their fossil assets.
And so the reason for the extender, as well as we discussed when we got together at a preliminary meeting, was that you're looking at making improvements to the facility. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And what, at least to the best that you can describe at this point, does that look like? How much is the investment? What type of upgrades will you be doing?
Yeah, so over the next 5 years, from 24 to 28, we expect to spend about 85 million on major maintenance and capital expenditure activities. A lot of the major maintenance is overhaul work that, given the age of the plant now, we have to kind of overhaul everything to keep the plant running reliably and safely and the life going forward. So that's the bulk of the spending. Expect probably 25% or so of that would be spent on local contractors and sourcing materials locally. On a normal year, when we're not doing major overhauls, we'll probably spend about 2.5 million or so in the local community using local contractors once again and sourcing materials.
And if I could just jump in, and the purpose for the extender is to hold everyone harmless, basically, to give us all time to talk about the future of this facility in a very complex energy environment and world that's changed since the original pilot. There's some headwinds facing fossil fuel generation in America, and particularly in the Northeast and New York. And so there's a more detailed discussion that needs to be had among the parties to talk about the environment. And so the thought is to facilitate that discussion in the coming months, in the next year, is to extend the current pilot, which was a 20-year pilot, by one assessment roll year, which would make it exempt down to 2024 roll, which would apply to next September's school district bill and the following 2025 town and county bill, and have the payments be identical to those that are in the current pilot. So everyone just stays the same while we work this out and hopefully forge a partnership for the future.
Is there a motion?
No, this is just a presentation right now.
Okay.
Okay.
At our initial meeting, also you described the number and type of jobs in Bethlehem at the plant.
Yeah, there's I think 35 plant employees. So there's management at the plant, and then there's a union presence there as well. So it's the plant manager oversees the plant, various operators, technicians, maintenance personnel that work at the plant, probably the vast majority of the workforce there.
And your investment is strictly maintenance on the existing footprint of the plant and not potentially preparing for expansion or anything like that?
So we have a portfolio company called Elevate, and their focus is to deploy battery storage devices. And so we have them looking at all of our assets, Bethlehem, Oswego, Arthur Kill, and Staten Island, Story, New York, to potentially deploy utility scale battery. That is not like, we're not doing that today, but it is certainly in the pipeline. But as far as 85 million, most of that spend is going to be major maintenance, CapEx. I don't believe
It's not expanding the output of the plant, but it's keeping the useful life extension into the future. And we won't, with what Matt said about uncertainty with fossil generation in the long term, for now, we have to consider what the rules are out there regarding our air permits and other things that have to get renewed, and what the governor and others say about fossil generation. So, while we want to extend the useful life for a reasonable period of time, I don't think right now we're considering fossil expansion, but what Liam's talking about is renewable energy, which would meet more of the goals of switching to renewable. Right.
during the 1 year period, it would be primarily just continuing maintenance as you've been doing. There wouldn't be anything going in new in that time period, right?
No, it would just be like the normal
Ongoing,
type maintenance. And once again, the reason we're asking for the extension period is to give us time to more fully negotiate a longer term deal.
To be clear, the maintenance would not begin until there's a new deal in place. Other than the normal 1 year.
We're planning, to do the normal operating maintenance that would occur, the O&M activity.
Right, but your $85 million investment.
The 85 million
starts only
spend
when there's an
starting,
agreement.
yeah, it's
That's the
spread over the 5-year period. Yeah, so there would be some amount spent in 2024, but the bulk of it would be later.
But the thought is to induce that investment by, trying to extend the life of this facility and, create a favorable environment for investment in the facility by stabilizing one of the plant's major operating expenses, which is the taxes.
And part of that, just to be clear, would be completing the application that you have now for the IDA and resubmitting that,
Yeah.
In the near future during this static period.
Correct. Yep, and we can work that out, Joe, with your office as to what the needs are of the IDA and how to best describe the plans for the future and that plan investment and when it would occur and the types of improvements to the facility, which has been described as major maintenance, but it's really putting a new engine in the, or tuning up the engine, in the vehicle.
So do you anticipate the 12 to 18 months, is that enough time for you to get where you need to be able to come back to us?
Yeah, our thought is to start right away, Jordan, and
I'll go take that.
set up some meetings in the coming year once we get through the holidays and talk in earnest about what the future will look like.
And I imagine each facility is somewhat different, but I imagine you're going through these with other portfolio assets too, just in terms of figuring out what you're going to do with them.
Yeah.
For someone who knows nothing about this industry or sort of other than.
I mean, generally, yes, we like certainty when it comes to the property taxes, and usually the jurisdictions also like certainty on the cash flows. Some of the plants that we own have similar pilot agreements, while others don't. Every jurisdiction's different on what they accept and don't accept.
Grab a seat in the back or over here.
Any other questions from our members or staff? Kate, is there anything else that you think the members should know this morning?
No, what I think we have to do today is treat it like our new process requires us to, and that this is sort of the first look at the project. Unfortunately, because of the time frame, next month will be the last look.
Right.
Normally, we would have, our 3 meetings or whatever the case may be. But so today, you're really, I'm asking for a motion to just move it forward and to allow Joe and Chris and I to negotiate with Matt and his team what the extender looks like, and then bring that to you for your approval at the next meeting.
So moved.
All in favor of moving forward on our review?
All right, 100%.
Any abstaining or opposed to moving forward on the review? All right. The resolution passes to move forward on the review. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
Especially from some distances. We appreciate it.
It's wonderful.
Thank you for the work you've done.
It's that important.
Yes.
Good job.
And I think that next meeting is it the 27th or the 28th?
No,
I looked at a calendar.
19th.
we
19th.
negotiated the
Okay.
19th.
Yeah.
We're
I
still
think.
trying to get our calendars done.
And by the way, on the Bell's board, it's 7 a.m. for that meeting. Is that?
No.
I was
No,
gonna
it's
say.
eight. It's eight. Yeah, yeah.
It's on-
Not
it's,
if- not if you want me.
I'm happy to be
You get here at 7.
They're going
Yeah.
here by himself.
It's okay with me.
Okay,
Well, I'd be
yeah,
okay.
that would be a
Yes.
symphony of one, Dick.
Make everybody happy,
Okay,
So 8 a.m. December 19th.
Right. so that would be when the board would be asked to take a formal action.
too. December
And-
19th?
Yes.
Yes.
And Kate, you explained to a smaller group why we don't need a public hearing for this.
You want to take that one? Or
Sure, I'm happy to take that. There's no new financial assistance being granted. It's just maintaining the status quo. Obviously, we'll hold a special, we'll hold a public hearing when we get the application for the new project. And we were very sensitive about the public hearing issue, which is why, based on discussions Kate and I had, we sent that letter out to the affected taxing jurisdictions advising them of the
wanted to attend the next meeting, they certainly could. That, or submit a written letter. Received any phone calls yet? Sometimes they'll